Orthodox. I just can't keep coping, to be honest. But I still think Catholicism is good. But the Pope punishes those people is the problem. I think they should be kicked out. Looking back, they should have been harder on them. At least some type of apartheid system. What? Oh, I think
I
okay. I guess he was commenting as we were talking. But yeah, so if you want to like quickly dunk on him because he wants to become Orthodox.
Okay, big guy. Number one, stop. Let's get our head back in the game. Okay, and I'm not trying to be insulting. I understand you're probably going through a tough time in your faith, and I do want to be. I'm getting out of joking, pine sap mode, and serious. I understand that you're probably struggling in your faith. I've had struggles too. I've dealt with struggles and doubt. I am here to tell you right now, the orthocope is really old and it's really sad, and they do a lot of whitewashing. Like any problem you think that's going on in the life of the church right now, I would even go so far as to say 10 times worse in Eastern Orthodoxy. 10 times. I mean, the Greek Orthodox Church, like David Bentley Hart was talking with Dr. Chapp the other day, and David Bentley Hart said even the more conservative Eastern Orthodox like bishops believe in universal salvation. Like literally believe that everyone will go to heaven and that there won't be anyone in hell, right? That's the more conservative bishops. They allow for, and they do allow for contraception. And I know you're going to run into Eastern Orthodox people that are like, oh, well, we can always point to a bad bishop and stuff like that. Here's the problem, though. Their church hierarchy, like the highest people in their church, the patriarchs, allow for it too. How can a church be immaculate if she's allowing her people to sin? Because you may very well say, oh, well, that's a sin, I shouldn't be doing it. That's great. Your patriarch says that it's okay. So what authority do you listen to? St. Ignatius of Antioch says we should obey our bishop like we obey Jesus Christ. So are you going to say then your bishop's erroneous? That your bishop's a heretic? Because then you're in communion with a heretic, and then you're going to have to go down the true Orthodox or genuine Orthodox path that claim that all the Eastern Orthodox churches have apostatized for the true faith because of ecumenism and all that stuff. And you're going to be, I'm not even kidding you, one of them is in Buena Vista, Colorado. He's a guy claiming to be the true Greek Orthodox patriarch, and he's got him and 5,000 followers or whatever, and they think they're the last Eastern Orthodox on earth. You have the Patriarch of Antioch saying, calling Muhammad a prophet. You have, Patriarch Bartholomew saying we have to build bridges with other religions and stuff like that, and wanting to exert more control over the other Orthodox churches, to which some of them object and then go into schism with another. You have Patriarch Kirill, who most people know is like a plant from the KJB, like an old plant, right? And has said that Muslims and Christians worship the same God and practices ecumenical events with Muslims a lot, and it's openly sanctioned by their churches, right? So where are you going to go? And you might very well say, oh, well, in the Eastern Orthodox ecclesiology, it doesn't matter because as long as one bishop has the faith, the church continues. Great. Where's that one bishop? Where is he? How can you find him? Do you think Jesus would find a church where you had to go and search endless hours on the internet watching David Earnhardt talk about who the real Orthodox bishop is, or Jay Dyer going from this Orthodox church to that Orthodox church to that Orthodox church to that Orthodox church and then coping for why he switches, or even a more respectable guy like Rush V giving an entire article about why he's no longer Armenian Orthodox because they're more liberal and now he's Russian Orthodox. I mean, dude, you're gonna run into a flat wall and it's gonna be a disappointment. And the copium that they're gonna be smoking is rough, and it's untenable too. And so you're either going to find yourself being an atheist, or you're going to find yourself being, again, a true or genuine Orthodox, which is basically the sede vacantis of Eastern Orthodoxy, right? They're not canonical. So here's what I would advise from a Catholic perspective. Number one, what is this claim of what we're coping on? If we're talking about the Pope's behavior, the church clearly has set out the bounds of what is infallible and what isn't. When the Pope's not infallible, or not even necessarily in a magisterial action, the Pope is as much of a human being as you or I. He can be, subject to faults as much as you or I. You're talking about Vatican II. Vatican II is completely in continuity with tradition. There's no coping there. Me and Spexo have gone over it. I can recommend you a lot of great books about, like from Matthew Levering and stuff like that, that easily show the continuity. I mean, the Magisterium herself talks about the continuity as well. There's plenty of post Vatican II documents that clearly show the continuity with prior things. So what is this coping we're talking about? And I'm just being real, because it really is, dude, Catholicism or nothing. Eastern Orthodoxy is a cope. And you would also have to handle the first millennium of papal claims that prove papal supremacy and papal infallibility, and basically call all those saints and all those people who attended those ecumenical councils and wrote to the Pope and confided that, liars, and that they were idiots and didn't know what they were talking about.
So good. Yeah. Also,
I'm just being real. I'm just tired of the guys, I'm feeling so bad. Stop watching TV then. Go pray. How often are you praying? You know what I mean?
yeah. My response would have been like, okay, become Orthodox if you want to go to hell, I guess. But that yours was way better.
Because I don't want to lose him. Like,
no, I'm kidding.
Even this guy, like, I don't want him to become Orthodox. I'll be blunt.
Yeah, of course.
But it's like, what are you doing to feed your spiritual life? If you are reading news all day, yeah, you're going to run into a wall real quick, because there's always going to be bad news in every age of the church.
And it's like, yeah, they look at like, I don't know, like, oh, there's a bad pope or a bad bishop or whatever the case is, that they're doing things that I disagree with. So now I'm going to completely change my entire faith, because like then you're basically doing it for materialist purposes. You're doing it for the aesthetic, or because you think it's more trad or whatever, not because you're genuinely searching for the truth, right? Which was a problem I had too when I was first converting, because I had 3 friends that converted to Orthodoxy, and they were like, oh, well, they're against gay marriage and they're against. I'm like, okay, well, because I didn't know anything about it back then, I was like, okay, well, maybe I will become Orthodox, but if I do, it's going to be because I believe it's the truth, not because of like some type of physical attribute or whatever. Like, oh, it's based, and yeah, the girls wear veils and blah blah. And it's like, okay, that's all cool and stuff, but is it true? Am I properly worshiping God? That is, and no matter if you come at it from an honest perspective and without any biases, then you're going to find that the Catholic Church is the true faith. And if you're thinking about leaving the church because you don't agree with the decisions of the clergy or because of bad Catholics, then you are not a Catholic for the right reason. You're not a Catholic because you want to save your soul and you want to spread the gospel in the correct way. You're a Catholic, or whatever religion you're going to be, because you want some like outward, superficial, aesthetic type purpose, And
and I was just gonna say, the gay lobby is bad in Eastern Orthodoxy. It is really bad. Like literally LGBT Orthodox meetings up in like Finland and stuff like that, and like professors at like Orthodox professors like George Demokolopes and stuff like that at like Fordham University, like openly advocating against like the nuclear family and like for gay marriage and women's ordination and stuff like that. SVS, the St. Vladimir Seminary, like having a huge problem with like homosexual clergy and financial abuse, and in the OCA churches and stuff like that. Dude, I mean, look, it is not sunnier on the other side. And I don't care how many funk edits they may make of their like, Father Suffram Rose based and stuff like that. It is not brighter on the other side. It's actually much worse and dark. And the other thing is too, they don't have the promise that Christ gave our church, because we are the one true church. So they will fall off into apostasy and unbelief.
And what even is the Eastern Orthodoxy Church with how many schisms there are? You say like,
there isn't one church.
I'm in ROCOR, and then whatever Orthodoxy isn't in communion with them, they're like, oh, well, they're not real Orthodoxy, they're schismatics or whatever. It's like, we know who Catholics are. There's one Catholic Church, right?
Right.
We have old Catholics, which are schismatics. They're not part of the Catholic Church. We have sedevacantists, who are
not a part of the Catholic Church.
Apostates, whatever you want to call them. They're not part of the church. We have one holy Catholic and Apostolic Church. Where is the one Orthodox Church? And what you said
nowhere.
You said Jay Dyer left one of his churches or something? That we said
he's switched like 5 times. I mean, like, the man trades religions like he trades candy. And look, I don't mind someone converting. I mean, look, everyone's got their own journey towards God, and not in like a universalist sense, but in the sense of like coming to the truth. Like, there's been plenty of saints or people in history who like went from this false religion to that false religion, ultimately led to the true religion. But he's like done that, and then like within Eastern Orthodoxy has gone from like, I think he was like Antiochian, and then he was like Greek Orthodox, and then Antiochian Orthodox, and then Antiochian was too liberal, so now he's like, I think like Russian Orthodox or something, and that seems to be where most of the like right wing, you know, Orthodox YouTubers are and stuff like that. And they're calling like Patriarch Bartholomew a heretic, and like using like a different term for the Greek Orthodox, like calling them like Bartholomites or something. And then, you know, he's also pumping out like when Russia will take over like an area of like Ukraine, saying that like the Eucharist is finally there, as to imply that like when the, I don't know, Ukrainian Orthodox Church was like in that area, that like that wasn't actually the body and blood of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. So basically professing Donatism, right? And saying that they don't have an actual like, you know, an actual ordination and stuff like that, which also isn't present in the early church. If you read I believe Pope St. Felix III writing about Assacius, but we can talk about that one later. So it's just this massive cope, and it's these people who place like, again, very surface level aesthetics above like the truths of faith. And what a lot of these orthos wind up doing is they're like, they just kind of hand wave everything. They're like, well, you know, I just pay attention to my local parish and I just read the church fathers and stuff like that. I'm like, what, the church fathers that talk about, you know, Rome being the center of communio and all that stuff, that those church fathers, the church fathers that for some reason couldn't always agree on every single issue. So, oh, I don't know, we need a magisterium to figure that out. Like, it's just this massive cope. And it's so logically inconsistent that most of their apologetics have to be either like kind of generic Protestant, why you should believe in God, or why you shouldn't be Roman or just Catholic, right? That's it.
So true.